devils, you don't say that, you know, you don't talk about it.
I don't know what it is, whether it's devil or spirit, that thing has power.
The war in northern Uganda has been called the most neglected humanitarian emergency in the world today. For the past 25 years, the Lord's Resistant Army and the Ugandan government has been waging a war that has left nearly 2 million innocent civilians caught in the middle of it. I have a personal connection with this cause because I was in the Invisible Children Club when I was in high school, and I also am family friends with one of the founders of Invisible Children. I think it's really important for college students to be informed on what's going on in Africa, and that's why I am doing my informative speech on this. I will describe what Invisible Children is all about, the cause and effects of the war, the situation in Uganda today, and what Invisible Children is doing to help. What started out as a filmmaking adventure became so much more when 3 young guys from Southern California found out that there is a war going on in Africa that is neglected and pretty much invisible, and no one was talking about it for 25 years. Their interactions with these people changed their lives, so they decided to come back to America and make a documentary on what they experienced. This documentary is called Invisible Children, The Rough Cut, and it shows the reality of the night commuters and the child soldiers. They started hosting screenings of the movie around different colleges and high schools over America, and it blew up. And they did over 5,369 official screenings. And as of 2009, 5 million people have seen the documentary. There's been an overwhelming response in America. How can I help what's going on in Africa? And so Invisible Children has provided opportunities for these young people to get involved and take action. The causes and effects of the war in Uganda began long before the war was noticed. The LRA rebel movement can be traced back to a woman named Alice Lakwena. In the 1980s, Alice Lakwena claimed that the Holy Spirit told her to overthrow the Ugandan government. Her and her followers were called the Holy Spirit movement, which is pretty ironic for what they were doing to people. When she was exiled, her cousin Joseph Kony took over, and he took over the Lord's Resistant Army, which is also called the LRA. When he did not get support from the Alkali people, he resorted to abducting children and placing them in his army. According to InvisibleChildren.com, more than 90% of the LRA were abducted as children. These children were raped, killed, and if they were chosen as soldiers, they were desensitized and brainwashed and taught how to murder people. They were obviously really traumatized and never got a real childhood. In response, the government made hundreds of thousands of these people evacuate their homes and go to these displaced camps where there'd be hundreds of people just all crushed together, and they would sleep in there so that they wouldn't be abducted. And you saw a picture of all those bodies laying together. American teenagers can pretty much sleep safely in their home without fear of this, but children in Africa, they have to walk miles and miles to these displaced camps in fear of abduction. On December 24th, 2008, the LRA launched an attack against the Dominican Republic of Congo. They murdered over 600 people and abducted more than 160 children for their army. This left 104,000 people displaced. Although the situation has improved drastically with Invisible Children, there's still so much left to do. Since Invisible Children was filmed in 2003, the night commuting has decreased. In the last 2 years, 900,000 out of the 1.8 million displaced have returned to their homes. That leaves 1 million still displaced in these camps. And it's hard for them to go home because it's been over a decade of them going home, and some of their homes aren't even there, and some of them don't have the resources to go back home and education and clean water and things like that. In May 2010, Obama signed the LRA Disarmament and North Uganda Recovery Act into law from pressure of Invisible Children. So they were really pleased with that government officials were getting involved. And yes. Invisible Children believes the problems of Central Africa need to be tackled comprehensively from peace to education. What they have done so far is rebuild schools benefiting over 8,400 youth in the areas of water, sanitation, books, equipment, teacher support, and they have also provided 690 scholarships and 180 full-ride scholarships to universities. April 25th, which is this month, is going to be their latest campaign, and they're going to have citizens around America just to be silent for 25 hours to represent the 25 years of war that's gone on. And they've already raised $300,000, and there's still 20 days left. Invisible Children is a nonprofit organization that seeks to help impoverished and lost children of Africa that have been abused from this devastating war. The topics covered were to expose you to what Invisible Children is about, the causes and effects of the war, and the situation in Uganda today. Thank you.
Comments for Ariel? Strengths of her presentation. Other comments on the strengths of Ariel's presentation?
Shared a clear preview of the main points.
Yeah. And overall, I mean, the points flowed and then reviewed them at the end. And a building point, something that would make Ariel's future presentations even more effective.
This is a strength. That was the introduction of the trailer in the movie. That was really interesting. That you get to see how bad it really is.
And any building points? And this is more of a building point for all of them, a lot of them anyway. Ariel, I did hear you cite invisiblechildren.com, but make sure you're citing the sources of your information to build your own credibility and to allow the audience to assess the credibility. Because credibility is something that the audience grants or not. And so by telling us your sources, I mean, it just shows that it's not just all your opinion. Because I know I hear students a lot of the time say, oh, you did a lot of research. And how do you know you didn't cite a single source? And so you should be listening for that kind of information when you listen to anybody, you know, according to who besides you. Because, you know, even if they're a really strong expert in something, you know, who else besides them thinks that or knows that or has experienced that. So anyway, but overall, really good job. And I will have these probably on next Tuesday, but the other speeches will be done. I'll have them. They're done already.